but at the same time, there is a different kind of heat which is not really helping us but bothering all the Londoners, not only Londoners but entire UK population. And that heat is created by some very bad accidents and incidents, and everybody is talking about it. Some of the images are so dense and so gory that they are just sticking to our minds and not going away. And this is what we are going to talk to, we're going to ask to somebody who has already been our guest once a very long time ago. And today again, we are very happy to welcome our very special guest, Satinderjeet Mahil.
Thank you very much.
And he's an Inspector of Police in Ealing, London. And he also expert in keeping good relation with community.
Yes.
Satinder, first of all, thank you very much again to appear on our show and agreeing to talk about various such issues which are actually bothering people. And lots of people, because of lack of experience, which nobody would have, or lack of knowledge many a time, people are struggling to come to terms with all these things, and people are reacting really differently. Sometimes they don't know how to react, sometimes they don't know what to do in such situation. Not only people who are victimized, but the people who are related to the victims, and those who are just, you know, those who heard it, those who just watched it and got affected because of the intensity of such an incident. And I'm talking people like you and me even, who were not actually on the scene or who were not directly affected by these terror attacks or whatever, but they saw it, and as a human being they felt maybe sorry, maybe pity, maybe disgust, maybe hatred, who knows, because each individual responds to situation differently. And this is why we would like to, you know, talk to you. And you're a very experienced person. You know, you're working in police for a very long time, I suppose. How
Yes.
many years you've been?
29 years I've been a police
29
officer.
years.
Yes.
That's a very long time.
Yes.
And did you always work in London, or you worked in various...
Yes, I've always worked in London, in different parts of London,
Okay.
working with various communities of London.
Right.
I've worked in a predominantly black community, I've
Right.
worked in a predominantly mixed race community, I've worked in a predominantly Asian community,
Right.
I've worked with different groups. I've also, one of my second hats, in conjunction with working at Ealing
Right.
Police Station and as a response team inspector, is also as chairman of the Metropolitan Police Sikh Association.
Right.
So I do link in with our community partners of various faiths as well, but primarily look at Sikh officers within the organisation and how we can network with other organisations.
Right. Mainly what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the clip which have got all these three incidents which took place. I'm referring to the terror attacks in London Bridge, and then in Manchester in that musical program, and then again in London. So let's have a look at you know, the entire situation and the scene and the colors and the intensity, which can create really strong effect on anybody's minds and brain. Let's have a look.
Terror struck the heart of London when a vehicle rammed into a crowd of pedestrians on Westminster Bridge.
We just heard a bang and then we just saw three people in the road.
Police say the vehicle then crashed into the gates of Parliament. People were seen running for their lives.
This attacker, who was armed with a knife, then ran towards Parliament, where he was confronted by the police officers who keep us and our democratic institutions safe. Tragically, one officer was killed. The terrorist was also shot dead.
Investigators say a full-scale terror investigation is underway.
We currently believe there was only one attacker. I'm sure the public will understand us taking every precaution in locking down and searching the area as thoroughly and exhaustively as possible.
The House of Commons, which was in session at the time, was immediately suspended, and lawmakers were asked to stay inside.
The location of this attack was no accident. The terrorists chose to strike at the heart of our capital city,
Riders on the London Eye, a large Ferris wheel overlooking the capital, also had to stay put. Police say extra officers have been deployed around London.
Oh my God. What's going on? What just happened? What's going on? Oh my God!
Some people hear a bang and then they panic. Yeah, but...
Keep your leg raised, look, keep your leg on there, keep it raised so you don't lose blood. And get it wrapped up with something as well. Hang on a minute.
Attention please. This is a public safety announcement. Due to an incident, it is necessary to evacuate the area. Please leave the building immediately.
It's a small thing I can do to show. I came to this city 17 years ago as a young man from Scotland, and it's always been a home to me, wherever you're from. And last night was devastating. You know, you see these things in the news and you think one day it's going to be here. You think that, but when it happens, and it's children, and I think we can react in a lot of ways. We can react in anger, or we can react by doing, why did I stay in this city for 17 years? This city is a community. I don't care who you believe in, where you're from, this city's for everybody, and we all need to rally round today to show support, because they want to divide us, don't they? They want us to turn on our neighbours, and it will never happen.
Morning.
Hello.
So you're from Harrogate?
Yes,
From Harrogate.
Yes.
So you come especially for the concert, did you?
Yeah. For the birthday present.
Who was it? Oh, right. Yes. But you say you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, she sounds very, very good. Very good singer.
She is.
I think everybody just got a real fright, didn't you? Yeah.
So I just hope that it all mends quickly.
Hope so.
You feel a lot better today than you have been for a few days, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a shock, isn't it? You know?
Big shock. A really big shock for them, but for everybody, really.
Well,
very
dreadful
scary.
Thing. Very wicked. And to target that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's awful, really. Awful, but hopefully they'll mend.
Yes.
We'll get better.
But it's very interesting how everybody has united, haven't they, here?
It's been amazing, really. Really amazing.
It's helped.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's been, it has. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone was running. I've never seen anything like it.
There are all the police in the area. How clear do I need to be? Move out of this area! Get out of the way!
I'm trying to keep myself safe.
They were just running around everywhere. Anyone was coming near them, or they'd see them come around the corner, they were just stabbing them, non-stop. They were just in another frame of mind. All they had on their mind was kill people.
Most of these people, it just looked like I was seeing a dead body after dead body after dead body.
The black cab said there has been a terrorist.
It began, just like the attack on Westminster Bridge in April, with a vehicle running over pedestrians. But this time, there wasn't just one attacker, there were three, armed with large knives.
Well, we saw people running, saying, run, you need to run, people are getting stabbed.
They went, this is for Allah, and then they just started stabbing her multiple times. They ran off 3 of them run off down towards the Borough Market.
Borough Market is a warren of bars and restaurants packed on a Saturday night.
Gentlemen, would you please leave the area for your own safety? Please. There are armed police in the area. How clear do I need to be? Move out of this area.
Romanian chef Florin Murario and his colleagues armed themselves with sticks to try to stop the attackers.
No, 3 is 3. What attacking the police?
Aveam două navete în mână.
I had 2 crates in my hands. I threw one of the crates toward him, knowing that he would probably dodge the first one because he was looking at me. But I threw it, hoping that I would hit him with second one. I also started hitting towards him and hit him with second one. It hit his face.
Florin watched as a police officer led an injured man to safety. He appears to have retrieved a weapon from the scene.
Oh my God!
50 shots from 8 firearms officers. An unprecedented number of bullets, said their boss. But they thought they were dealing with suicide bombers. Fake devices were strapped to their chests.
The situation these officers were confronted with was critical. A matter of life and death. 3 armed men wearing what appeared to be suicide belts. They had already attacked and killed members of the public and had to be stopped immediately. Indeed, I'm not surprised that when faced with what they must have feared were 3 suicide bombers, the firearms officers fired an unprecedented number of rounds to be completely confident that they had neutralised the threat that those men posed.
Welcome back. As you could see, those 3 incidents, they were targeting masses, and whoever was behind the attack, they were trying to create a terror, some sort of insecure feeling, and so on. I mean, what exactly do they think in their minds? What do they gain by all this?
I think what it was their buildings whereby there were large-scale numbers of members of public there. They knew there was going to be large numbers of people there. It was going to have the massive impact on community and society as a whole here. And they had total disregard for other human beings. And it was about impact and creating terror.
Right.
Hence the phrase terrorism. You know, they wanted to create terror in the community wherever they attack. Now, Westminster, there was that incident caused terror amongst a lot of people who were innocent members of public, who were tourists wandering around. There were large numbers of families, other members going about their daily business, walking up and down the Westminster Bridge when this atrocity happened. And then there was equally acts of heroism as well by officers who tried to detain the offender at Westminster Bridge, likewise over at Manchester, trying to rescue the children, get the children out of their premises, finding a safe evacuation route and getting everybody out. And thirdly, down at London Bridge as well, there was incidents which we saw at Borough Market and London Bridge where people were rendering first aid, people went out to try and attack the attackers, to try and dissuade them from attacking other people. Unfortunately, a lot of people who tried that were equally injured by the attackers.
It seems that they are applying new tactics. I mean, this is something coming up now, that driving a vehicle through the crowded place to injure more and more people.
Yeah, we've seen that in Europe a couple of times now, where they've managed to get a lorry and they've used a lorry. Here, 1 or 2 of the offenders, which has been portrayed in the media as well, is that 1 or 2 of the offenders have tried to hire a lorry and roused a bit of suspicion in the hire company, and they've refused to take on that hire. But what they've done is equally gone and managed to hire a van, and they've used a van as a projectile or the item, a weapon of choice there, because it's easily accessible, and everyday person can hire a van for removing stuff, everyday items.
Right. Now, when such thing happens, whether it's a terror attack or some accident, the most importantly, there are 3 government organizations are actually involved immediately by default. The first one is obviously police, you know, to investigate, to help people and so on. Health services, the ambulance and doctors and so on. And in many cases, fire brigade, just in case something happens and things go out of hand. Now, when people, I mean, you go there irrespective of what happened, and you try your level best to deal with the situation. But the local person, normal person or person who is actually witnessed the situation, a person who is not maybe part of the entire accident, but just has witnessed it. And they expect far too much because they are confused themselves. They don't know what to do, they don't know what to say, they don't know where to go, who to look for. And then that, I think, makes them angry. And then they are expecting too much. They start shouting and screaming on the authorities. For example, policemen or a fire brigade officer, or even sometimes the nurses and doctors. Yeah. How do you deal with such situations? Because on one side, you're trying to control the situation. I mean, we could see that actually police officers were telling people to stay back.
Yeah.
Stay back from within the area. Where people are trying to see what's happening, they are curious and worried. How do you exactly deal with the situation?
Right. I think the easiest way of picturing that is by picturing or understanding it as total carnage at first.
Yeah.
It's total carnage at first, and your main priority initially is to save life and eliminate the risk,
right,
or reduce the risk, as the case may be.
Right.
Right. So the immediacy is to save people, render first aid where you can, and where possible, utilise the services of the London Ambulance. And if there is a fire elsewhere or a suspect device, then the fire brigade would be sent over in that direction, just in case of any incident taking place. But the main priority is those people in immediate need of help.
Right.
Now, in conjunction with that, it is so important that, one, we secure the scene, and we make sure the scene is not contaminated by outside people coming in.
Right.
So we have to cordon off that as well.
Right.
And then thirdly, the thing is to corral the witnesses together. Now, there will be witnesses who are confused, excited as well, in the sense that they want things done immediately, and they want things done right away, or they think that you're not doing the right thing, or your priorities are not their priorities, what they envisage as being the main priorities. And that's where I think the thing is to take control and get a level of understanding, is say to them, look, I'm in charge here, right? Thank you very much for the information that you've given us so far. We will take your details. We will be speaking to you in the near future. Right. But at the moment, our main priority is the casualties and the immediacy of the incident, and restoring some sort of calm there, and making sure that there are no secondary devices as well. But what we don't want is sending people off into an area and then finding there's a risk there, a secondary risk.
And then creating more problem, and
absolutely
then, again getting told off for your lack of intelligence or
it's leadership. It's down to plain leadership.
So I mean, what we understand, and what everybody understands nowadays, that terrorist, whoever it is, what they try and do is they create confusion, terror and insecure feeling amongst the people.
That's it. They want to create anarchy where people are running around in all directions, not knowing what to do, who to go to, etc. And they're creating that sense of fear.
But apart from that, there is another problem which can become at times really, really big and dangerous, which we want to talk to you about. But we will do that after a short break. So don't go.
At Leica Mobile, we do things your way. Buy a new SIM with our UK Plan Ultra online and enjoy 15 gigabytes of ultra-fast 4G data and unlimited UK minutes and texts. All of this for the low price of just £12 for 30 days. This 50% off contract-free offer is available on our 4G LTE UK network. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity. Visit leicamobile.co.uk today. Terms and conditions apply. Your data, your way. Leica Mobile.
Pure Heaven. Non-alcoholic celebration drinks. All the fun without the alcohol. Pure Heaven. Make every moment a sparkling moment.
Now available at selected Tesco stores and Amazon.
हेस्टन हाइड वेस्ट लंदन के सबसे शानदार होटल्स में से एक with 303 air conditioned rooms and suites, one of the largest banquet spaces in London, meeting room for up to 1200 people, conferences, musical function, weddings या कोई भी gathering. मनपसंद भोजन, शानदार आयोजन और बेहतरीन वेन्यू, 400 गाड़ियों की पार्किंग के साथ हेस्टन हाइट। फॉर बुकिंग्स कॉल 0208 572 1818।
आज मेरी जा होके मगन तू, छोड़ के सारे किंतु परंतु। नाच मेरी जा होके मगन तू, छोड़ के सारे किंतु परंतु। मार छलांगे छूले गगन तू, छोड़ के सारे किंतु परंतु। नाच मेरी जा होके मगन तू, छोड़ के सारे किंतु परंतु।
Welcome back to Rajneeti on MTV. Before the break, we were talking about the troubles after the incident and what could happen to people. There was one thing we were discussing that, you know, when people see it, when they witness it, their mind is completely blank. They don't know what to do. They're angry, they're confused, they're looking for some answers, and eventually that frustration comes out on whoever is taking the lead there. So it could be a policeman, it could be a fire brigade officer, as we could see last week when the fire brigade was there. So, but there is something more dangerous which is taking shape in London, and that is when the terror attack happened. Almost, unfortunately, all the terrorists are Muslims. And there is a hatred building, boiling. And there were two incidents where somebody attacked the mosques. And I think, I don't know, we can't call it terrorist attack, we can call it racial attack.
Well, I think the danger is we're calling a racial attack. It is racially motivated. However, I think the reason why some people will question why the Finsbury Road attack was called a terrorist attack, and today the Regent's Park Mosque attack was called a terrorist attack, was because the people who were behind the attacks were profoundly aiming all their aggression towards causing fear amongst that community. Right? It was a revenge against that community. That's the way it came across.
Right.
And the remarks that we saw in the news after the Finsbury Road attack, you know, the expressions and the remarks made towards the members of public that were there from the offender were all made to wind up the
towards
public.
the entire community, a particular community.
It was absolutely towards the Muslim community.
Yeah. Let's have a look at this, those incidents and what exactly happened and how people actually faced it. Let's have a look.
From 21 minutes past midnight this morning, police received a number of calls to Seven Sisters Road following a van having collided with pedestrians. Officers were in the immediate vicinity at the time, actually as the attack unfolded, and they responded instantly.
As we came outside the mosque, there was people screaming, it was like chaos, it was like a horror movie. There was people laying on the floor, there was blood on the floor.
One man was pronounced dead at the scene. 8 others are in hospital, and 2 more were treated at the scene. I'd like to praise the police officers who immediately responded, who gave life-saving treatment at the scene, but also very much those members of the public who assisted before and after this incident. Also at the scene, detained by members of that community, was the man suspected of being the driver during this attack. He has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
شاب أسود يهجم على المسجد أثناء صلاة التراويح. جامع لندن ريجس بارك. الساعة الآن ساعة 12. Everybody should go back. Just go back. Okay? Benny, you need to go to the van. Everybody move away from the van now.
Everybody back.
As you can see, there are altogether 5 incidents which we covered under the attacks.
Yes.
3 of them were created by a very organized, well-studied, proper way, organized terror attacks by some group or who did not just target a particular community. They just targeted human being. They just targeted civilization. And their entire goal or objective was to create terror within people's mind of a particular country.
And it was done under the banner of their faith, unfortunately.
Whereas on the other side, the madmen who created or conducted these attacks in 2 different mosques, they were targeting a particular community.
Absolutely.
Which is what bothering many people. And how would you, I mean, what would you say about it? How would you describe it? How would you tell people that this is stupid?
I think the biggest thing is a lack of education out there in the community. I think that certainly needs to be more engagement.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is that ISIS and these groups like Al-Qaeda, they're trying to put the fear of God into people and use their religion as a form of putting fear into people. And it's that old traditional saying of divide and rule. So they're trying to divide the whole community. It's not to say every Muslim is bad. The Muslim faith and the Quran preaches peace, harmony and brotherly love, just like every other faith does. Right? There's no faith that says that you should destroy your fellow man or your brother or sister. Right? It's about living in harmony and having a good quality of life. Now, what's happening is that there is this divide and rule going on. And what's happening is that there is certain factions, small groups who are fanatics in every community, to be fair, right? Black, white, Asian communities, who are using these attacks as an opportunity to attack other people. Now, we've seen the attack at Finsbury Park Mosque. And there it was an attack on the Muslim faith. And what I would like to also say is we should commend the Imam who came out and took a bit of leadership there and protected the guy that was on the floor and said to the congregation, let's pin him down, nobody attack him, pin him down, hold him down and let the police take him away and arrest him. Now that mosque came under a lot of criticism over a number of years ago because of Abu Hamza. It had a lot of negative press. Now, you know, this just goes to show that over a period of time, the wind of change has taken place and there are better people in the community who are leading that mosque. So therefore we should praise them for all their efforts that were made on that occasion. Likewise at Regent's Park Mosque, now I think certain mosques have different sects of Muslims going to each, but the large community can't distinguish between the two, and I think what the danger is that these fanatic groups are coming out and attacking the Muslim groups because of what they see on the media, and that's where it's imperative that the media correctly report what is going on. Secondly, in the community, we've had a number of multi-faith prayer meetings. We've had faith leaders getting together. We've had faith leaders going to each religious establishment. We've also had the police as well. What we mustn't forget is, through my job as a police officer, it's important for us to also engage with these communities because we have to provide reassurance. And we want to encourage people to report any hate crime, any crime where they become victims or feel victimised, or any religious establishment that is being attacked or targeted in any way. If it's not reported, it didn't happen. So if we can build up an intelligence picture, we know where to put our resources. Now, today, thankfully, the Queen's speech, it was said that the police budgets won't be cut any further. We've gone through large cuts in the past, which has caused an effect on our resources, our capability to react to certain incidents. But I would say on the whole, we've been able to react to every incident that's happened so far. But the danger is we're so thinly stretched now that any other incident would really deplete our resources. So I welcome that our budgets aren't going to be cut, which will mean that in the very near future we'll have uplift in the number of resources that we have available and through recruitment, and then be able to service our public out there and provide them more reassurance.
Talking about hatred and the confusion, targeted confusion created by these militants and terrorists and so on. It's very important for the people of public or persons of people or individuals to recognize and then act accordingly. I will therefore request my viewers, if you want to participate, if you want to have something to our officer, or if you want to say something, you want to express your thoughts, what should be done, what more should be done about this whole situation, you can always call us. The number is on our screen. Give us a call and tell us what you think of it, or you can always tweet us at MATV channels, or finally you can send your emails to us and we'll definitely try and include them in our program. Now, coming back to what is happening and the way people are reacting to, I will just simply refer to when there is a physical incident happen, say somebody got hurt, somebody had a heart attack and so on. So nowadays in schools, in various organizations, people are taught for first aid, you know, how to take care of if somebody is injured. I mean, it's increasing slowly. But yeah, that is a good thing to teach the students and so on about the first aid. Do you think there is a need to have some sort of program going by the government to let people at least mentally be prepared for such shocking incident and act accordingly?
I think the biggest thing that we need to, first thing that we need to address is we don't want everybody to be in fear of anything.
Of course, yes.
We want everybody to live freely in this democratic society and conduct their business according to everyday rule. Right. Secondly, what we don't want to do is go into establishments and put the fear of God into people, thinking something is going to happen tomorrow. Right? That's where we say, we promote, be vigilant, but don't be alarmed.
Right.
You know, be vigilant around where you are. If you're in a place where there's large groups of people around, you need to look at, in a case of an emergency, where would I go? You know, it's like exit planning. You know, just have that. Be wary about your surroundings. Know that if something happens, which exit routes you have to get out of danger. You know, and the thing with first aid is, a primary first aid is given in a lot of establishments. A lot of establishments now have defibrillators fitted on the walls, and it's a lot of public buildings have those. And then people need to be trained at those establishments. So they will have somebody trained in first aid in a lot of buildings. So I think the main thing is not to put the fear into people, because going into schools, into companies, and saying, look, if you come under attack from a terrorist, this is what you should do, this is what you should do, then what it does is it puts a fear into people that there's a sense of expectation something is going to happen. We don't want that. Right? We don't want everybody to be in fear. That's where I think the community's coming together and uniting together to fight against these terrorists and show them that we stand united is so imperative and so important, that if we started doing those things about telling people how to be careful all the time and stuff like this, what will happen is that the terrorists have won, because what they've done is created a sense of fear in the community, and we don't want the community to live in fear.
But what about the psychological aspect of it? I mean, I'm not saying, not suggesting that, you know, people should be talked about the terror attacks and what to do in terms of terror attacks, where to hide or where to run. I'm talking about to deal with situation mentally or psychologically. Where,
Psychologically, there's quite a few support services, certainly in our police organisation. Following the recent incidents that we've had a number of counsellors that are available to us that provide support, guidance and counselling services. Now, there's quite a few public agencies that have those, but I fear that in the community, it's often quite difficult trying to get those. But I would suggest that anybody who is suffering from any psychological impact as a result of these incidents is to go to to their GP, speak to their GP, and seek guidance and referral to a trained psychologist.
Right.
Now, quite a few religious establishments I know are happy to listen to members of the congregation who have concerns,
Right.
and equally through the faith group meetings that our senior leadership teams have had, they've also said to them, look, point people who are suffering from any psychological effects
Right.
towards a GP or somebody medically trained.
Right. Now, along with these terror attacks and, you know, the reciprocations and so on, there is something else very big happened in London, and that was terrible accident. I mean, thanks God, many people thought it may be, you know, there may be some terrorist organizations behind it, but thanks God it was not. It was a pure accident, but it was a terrible accident. I want you to have a look at this small clip, which we're talking about this burning building or towering inferno, if you call it. Let's have a look at that clip.
This is what Grenfell Tower used to look like. A home to hundreds of people, built in the 1970s, recently refurbished, a familiar sight to many people travelling in and out of London. It's in Kensington, a name synonymous with wealth, but this is an area of social housing. The people here are a blend of nationalities, living in the heart of one of the world's most diverse cities. At 5 minutes to 1, the fire brigade summoned here to a hellish inferno. A 24-storey building gripped by a fire that got ever more intense, at a time when so many people were at home, asleep. What caused this will of course be investigated, but one resident told us he believed the fire had started in his neighbour's flat, sparked by a faulty fridge. Charred possessions, but also the industrial cladding that had burnt from around the building. Hundreds of emergency personnel, but inside, look, to the left of your screen, you can see what appears to be a resident still in their flat, peering out while 3 stories above them this building burns. We don't know what happened to this person. But a story that's been told repeatedly is one of utter desperation, of people in this tower trapped and jumping for their lives.
As you saw the towering inferno, or a great building burned down to ashes, and along with that building, I don't know how many dreams shattered, how many people lost their lives, and how many futures are destroyed. We'll talk about it and more after the break.
At Leica Mobile, we do things your way. Buy a new SIM with our UK Plan Ultra online and enjoy 15 gigabytes of ultra-fast 4G data and unlimited UK minutes and texts. All of this for the low price of just £12 for 30 days. This 50% off contract-free offer is available on our 4G LTE UK network. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity. Visit leicamobile.co.uk today. Terms and conditions apply. Your data, your way. Leica Mobile.
Pure Heaven. Non-alcoholic celebration drinks. All the fun without the alcohol. Pure Heaven. Make every moment a sparkling moment.
Now available at selected Tesco stores and Amazon.
Trevor. Yeah? You're a private landlord, right? And your tenants are in a tough financial situation. They can't pay their rent, which is keeping you up at night. Yeah, but you're with Direct Line. They'll repay any unpaid rent until the tenants are out. So relax, Trevor. It's time for me to put you to sleep. Coco?
Landlords, Direct Line guarantees to beat the quote and renewal premium of other insurers for the same cover.
किस्मत कब क्या करेगी किसको पता है खुशी गम शुभ अशुभ दुख सुख आपकी किस्मत का हाल किस्मत कर्मा के साथ आपके अपने चैनल MATV पर।
हेस्टन हाइड वेस्ट लंदन के सबसे शानदार होटल्स में से एक with 303 air conditioned rooms and suites, one of the largest banquet spaces in London, meeting room for up to 1200 people, conferences, musical function, weddings या कोई भी गैदरिंग, मनपसंद भोजन, शानदार आयोजन और बेहतरीन वेन्यू, 400 गाड़ियों की पार्किंग के साथ हेस्टन हाइड। फॉर बुकिंग्स कॉल 0208 572 1818।
मेरा नाम ट्यूबलाइट नहीं है, मेरा नाम है लक्ष्मण। ये है मेरा भाई भरत। सिर्फ इसे मुझ पे यकीन है कि मैं किसी से कम नहीं हूँ।
Welcome back to Rajneeti on MATV. Just before the break, we had a look at the burning building, Grenfell Tower. Along with the building, I mean, it was very strange the way the entire incident took place, and lots of people were misinformed, and you know, there are lots of investigations are going on. But the truth is, whoever was responsible, whoever did the mistakes and whatever mistakes were carried out, the result is that so many people lost their lives. So many kids, they don't know about the future. People don't have a place to live. They don't know where to cook and so many other things. And again, at such situation, it is the police department and the
emergency services
people and the fire brigade who has to be there. Tell us about how you deal with such situation, intense situation.
Yeah, I think the thing with this incident was that the call initially was to a fire, so the lead on that would be the fire brigade. But because of the escalation of the fire and then the casualties being brought out, what happened was that a lead was with the fire brigade in form of reducing the fire risk and also bring it under control and try and evacuate all the members of the public that were in there, bring them out. And then secondly, the job was for the London Ambulance Brigade in terms of rendering first aid. Thirdly, the police role in this incident was basically to secure a perimeter, to provide a sterile area for the emergency services to work in. So what happens in a situation like this, the London Fire Brigade, the ambulance and the police, what they have is they have a lead person who takes charge, like a coordinator. They work together and they decide, right, who's going to have overall primacy in this incident. Right, depending on the nature of the incident, that agency would have primacy. Now, in this incident, it was the London Fire Brigade. Now, second to them, it was rendering first aid to people. So that was a second aspect. The third aspect would be monitoring all the names of those people that were coming out, those that we believe are still in there, forming lines of communication for members of public, concerned members of public, and that was with the police and also with the cordons around the area to secure the area of other people trying to get in. Secondly, of maintaining a sterile area for people that are working within that area to work efficiently to bring that fire under control.
When the fire happened, you know, it was midnight, almost some minutes after 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock when first person realized there is a fire. And slowly but surely it spread. Many people thought it's just a fire, you know, people stayed in their homes, thought that fire brigade will take care of the entire situation, which is well within the situation. When you got, or when police got the call that there is a fire, did it ever happen that, you know, the police department thought it may be another terror attack?
It would be wrong for me to make judgment on what was going through people's minds on that day. But I'm sure that in the back of people's minds, because of the nature of the incidents that we've had recently and the proximity in terms of time, there was a fear that it may have been terrorist related initially.
Right. So
I'm sure there was a fear.
I mean, even police must have thought that.
Everybody, every agency, even the residents must have thought something like that has gone wrong.
Okay. And now again, I'll come back to something which I mentioned earlier. In fact, I mentioned this in our program which we did 2 months ago, and we were talking about the overall attitude towards the policing and policing budget. Because in last 2 months itself, there is an intense pressure on police, okay, and it requires more hours, probably, and vigilance, and maybe new tactics to deal with such problems. Is there any additional support, additional training, additional equipments provided by government? Is there anything which, boosts moral of police people?
I would say that in that vein, a lot of it is down to our general training in terms of protecting people and the service that we provide. Right, we're all trained to do a certain task, and we do it. We have various branches within the police service that have specialist skills, and we call upon those at specific times, depending on the nature of the incident that we're dealing with.
Okay.
Now, we all know, I think it's no great secret, that every public sector agency's undergone a large number of cuts over the past few years in the nature of austerity. And due to that, everybody's had to streamline their working habits and how they work. And it's basically around working smarter, using your resources more efficiently. And what's happened is that with these incidents, we have managed, I would say, to deal with the incidents that have been happening. But we can't sustain that. And everybody is well aware of that. And I think it's beyond my pay grade to be sitting around a table with senior management and decide on what we should and shouldn't do. But I think with what is being suggested today in the Queen's speech and through Theresa May now, is that there won't be any further reduction in police budgets. And in fact, there may be an increase, uplift in the number of resources that are available. So a number of police officers being recruited, therefore being able to deal with the incidents that are going on. And plus, in addition to that, today our police commissioner, Cressida Dick, has outlined that we're going to have 2,000 further taser-trained officers out in the streets. Now, that isn't to put the fear into people that, oh my God, there's going to be more terrorist incidents taking place and therefore we need more taser officers. It's a two-pronged attack. Now, we've seen a large number of knife crime incidents happening in London and an increase. We need to quash that. We need to prevent people getting stabbed, etc. And the incidents that we've had recently around knife crime, we've had a couple of incidents around Westminster where people have been detained with a knife, and they've been safely detained because the officer had a taser with them, right? And that way, at least we get the offender and we can find out the rationale behind what is going on and what's going through their mind and why their motives for their crimes. So, there's quite a few avenues and quite a few aspects that one can think of, but I would welcome that, what is happening now.
2,000 officers trained and equipped with the taser gun.
Further taser.
But there was some talk about, equipping police officers with firearms, and I think public supported it overwhelmingly. So what do you think? I mean, if you are there to protect people, and if you cannot protect yourself in case if somebody is attacking you with a weapon, then it's really not right.
What I would say is that one thing that a British police service prides itself on is that not all police officers are armed, and we have the skill to talk to people and engage with people, and that makes us easily approachable to members of the public, and therefore we can also equally approach members of the public as well. And I think if we have an incident where there's firearms requirement, then we have the resources that can come. We've had a lift following the recent terrorist attacks in the number of firearms officers in London. We've increased those. Therefore, we're able to respond that much quicker
Right.
In that sense, whereas before we had fewer officers, therefore you're left waiting for a response from them to turn up from central London or wherever they may be around London to come to your specific incident. Now the response time is therefore reduced significantly, and you get a much faster response to any incident. And over the incidents that have happened recently, we've seen that in that case. And when we talk about a live incident, we can talk about the London Bridge incident, and that incident was the offenders were eliminated in terms of the threat that they posed to members of the public within 8 minutes. So I think we need to commend that and welcome that. I know those 8 minutes for other people were the longest 8 minutes of their lives.
That's right, yes.
Right? But equally, the situation was brought under control within 8 minutes. The whole area was cordoned off. We had a number of members of public who showed great leadership, who took people down into basements of their licensed premises, into their buildings, locked them in there to provide sanctuary for them away from the offenders, which I think needs to be welcomed.
Right. Do you think there is more sort of weapons available to, because see, the more and more crime is bringing weapons now. You know, the knives, in some cases there are guns used as well. So do you have access, if needed, to the weapons, firearms as a police force, or it's still in work in progress?
We have a response to those crimes, depending on the nature of the crimes.
Right.
I mean, I spent 13 years on a territorial support group, which deals with public order incidents.
Right.
And we dealt with, one of our big things was we dealt with knife crime.
Right.
If there's an offender with a knife inside a building and that person had to be safely taken out and detained, it was a job for the TSG. So the TSG was generally called to those incidents. And we generally worked, in some cases, with a firearms backup.
Right.
So if there's a threat to life, then the firearms team would take over and we would be their backup. But on most occasions, it was a case of the TSG taking the lead, and it was through negotiation from behind shields, protective shields, with the person to bring that incident to a safe conclusion without anybody getting injured. And I would say that in 80–90% of the cases, that was the case.
Now, something very important, we were talking about the psychology of terrorist, we were talking about the psychology of a victim, who is not directly victim, but maybe seeing an incident unfolding in front of their eyes, hearing it and feeling it, or a person who is actually directly involved into the accident or terror attack. But now I want to ask you, it's something very, very important. There is a huge police force in United Kingdom. You know, they are very well trained, well behaved. They do everything within their power to save the people, support the people and help the people. But what about their own psychology? I mean, there was a time when the wars were happening, the mothers wouldn't send their children to the army or to fight because they were afraid of, getting them killed. Since last 2 months, the incidents are happening in such a way that maybe a young police officer who is just graduated, completed his or her training as a police officer, and maybe their parents or their boyfriend or girlfriend are not entirely convinced and happy that he or she should go and join the force. Do you think that there can be the situation?
What I would say is it's all down to education and what people know and what information people share. What I would say is that a lot of large institutions, large organisations have psychologists assigned to them, right, and counsellors.
Right.
Now, the Metropolitan Police, part of what I am, we have many counsellors, and we can draw on them at any time, day or night.
Right.
And when we're dealing with an incident, once we've dealt with it, if it's having a detrimental effect, it doesn't even have to be at the point where we're at a point of breakdown. If it's had a significant effect, not only on us, but on the community as well, we will be given the option of speaking to a counsellor or a support services representative to seek ways of understanding what has gone on and drawing that to a conclusion. We've done that many a time. I've dealt with a number of knife incidents which have led to a number of casualties in the past, which has had an effect on my fellow officers. And we've had those resources brought to us to speak through the incident and provide counselling. And what I would say is people can rest assured that a lot of these agencies have spent massive amounts of money on making sure that their resources are specifically catered for in these sort of incidents.
This is when a member of public is already on board with policing service. I'm talking about those who are yet to join. You know, for example, maybe my son, or your son, or XYZ's daughter, who is thinking that, okay, I want to join the police. And all of a sudden, in last 2 months, there are so many incidents, which has created a big terror in people's mind. How do you tackle with that?
I think there, what they need to do is really speak to our schools officers. We have a number of schools officers that are assigned to specific schools. Is just go and speak to the officers, find out what is available. There's no harm in talking to a police officer, and that's one of the biggest things that I've found is that there still seems to be a barrier between police and public. We are approachable. Come and speak to us. Come and say, what is it like? We have drive-alongs as well. People can come and drive along with the officer, go out on patrol and see exactly what we deal with day in, day out. Experience for themselves from a visual perspective, from a safe environment, what police officers are dealing with day in, day out, what dangers they face, what issues are there in the community that are being addressed by the police, what sort of calls the members of the public are making to the police, because some may be considered trivial, some may not be considered so trivial, and maybe incidents like we spoke about earlier, you know, knife crime incidents or firearms incidents, how do police deal with those? And that's an opportunity for people to find out exactly how things are done, like sitting in the front row.
Okay. Now, we are almost at the end of the show. In 1 minute, what would you like to say to member of public, the people who are watching this program?
What I would say to members of the public is remain vigilant, and the most important thing is if there's anything that you feel insecure about or unsure about, or there's any activity that causes you to suspect there's some wrongdoing going on, report it to the police. If you reported it, then we will certainly investigate it. Any religious establishment, I would say likewise, if there's any attack or wherever there's any vulnerability, report it, engage with the police. The most important thing is not let these terrorists beat us. And as a community, we need to bond together, stand strong against all these terrorists, and show them that we are united and you won't divide us.
Satinderjit Mahil, thank you so much, Inspector of
Police. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is for today. You were watching Rajneeti on METV. You watch it on YouTube and on internet as well. Today's program is about to end, but I must tell you that next week I will not be here. I will be back week after. Till then, look after yourself, stay vigilant, look after your friends and family. Have a very good night.